A very good evening to all of you. Is my voice audible?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Audible.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so it's nice to meet you all again on a very short notice. And let me tell you, you'll be meeting me for the next 12 days because I'll be handling environment and ecology for your batch. So, yes, as you all know, I'm Vilasini, right? And I will be handling some areas of current affairs, majorly environment and ecology, and also society. So, just a brief background about me. Um, so, yes, I have cleared Tamil Nadu's Group B services. I've written UPSC mains in the past, and I hold a gold medal in sociology and Sanskrit from the University of Madras. So apart from that, I'm also a faculty for UPSC subjects like Indian society, social justice, environment, as well as current affairs. And I've also worked as an R&D coordinator. Uh, and in this role, I have I tried analyzing the demand of the exam from how questions are being asked. And I've also worked as a mentor where I've trained students across India as a part of Hyundai's CSR initiatives, as well as all over India. I've spoken to students from the north as well. So this is a brief background about me. So yesterday, because we were starting straight away with current affairs and there was a lot for us to discuss, I didn't want, to take a little bit of your time, but I wanted to jump straight away into the topic. But now that we are going to be connected for the upcoming few days, so all I wanted to tell you is, see, environment and ecology is a beautiful subject. And don't worry, it will completely be taken care by me. So any concerns and doubts you have in this subject, you may reach out. The PPTs will be shared with you, and the PPTs, the content in the PPTs itself will majorly cover the areas required for your exam. And apart from that, one more thing that I wanted to add, in our journey of preparing for environment and ecology, also the previous year questions, which are very important, which have been tested, the exact statements have also been given by me. So yes, yesterday I have given you a brief idea into introduction, the stages and everything, correct? So I'm sure you all were able to connect the dots. You all had a fair idea of how current affairs plays a role. So today we will be talking about a core subject called as environment and ecology. Environment and ecology plays a very important role in both your prelims and your mains. So in prelims, year on year, close to 10 to 18 questions, it varies, comes significantly from environment. And yes, in the context of mains as well, every year you have few questions which come in your GS paper 3 mains. Apart from that, where else will environment and ecology help you? Somewhere in your essay paper, if at all you have an environmental based topic and you want to write. Similarly, environment will overlap with subjects like geography, agriculture. In current affairs, many topics pertaining to environment like species in news, right? And many areas are being tested. So through our journey of preparation, I will also tell you how to think smartly and eliminate options, right? So in one of the classes that we have, we will solve certain PYQs and I will tell you how logically you can figure out the answers for it. So sometimes, let me tell you the reality of this exam. If you have 100 questions, right? Only 25 to 30 will come from whatever you read. So what about the rest? Talking about the rest, please keep in mind, it all comes down to logical thinking and elimination. So here the people who take risk, people who are able to eliminate a little bit logically will make it to the cutoff into mains. So here it is not just about working hard, but it is also about working smart. Fine. You have to be a little bit shrewd and you need to understand that at the end of the day, you're not trying to become a specialist in a subject. So let me tell you, each of you might have your individual preferences on every subject that you read. For example, some of you might like polity, some might like environment, some might like economy. You may have your own choices. But in the context of UPSC, it's called general studies. So the intent is that at the end of this process, you become a generalist and not a specialist. Okay, so here also environment and ecology, some of you may like the subject, some of you may also have inhibitions. So my major aim is to ensure that by the end of this journey, you are confident with environment and ecology. And not just that, through this journey of UPSC preparation, you start developing a sense of interest and curiosity in whatever you read. So with this note, let us try getting into environment ecology. Let us decode the subject in detail today. So today being the first class, I will give you a general orientation into environment and ecology. We will discuss some interesting topics where I'll tell you how environment is interlinked with many other aspects. And then we will straight away start with the basics of ecology, which will be your unit 1. So a detailed orientation on environment and ecology will be done by me, post which we will straight away dive into the subject, right? So these are few things that I wanted to say. Apart from that, let me tell you, note making, yes, if you want, you can, but the content in these slides will suffice. You can go through it. For some specific topics, if I give you definitions, I want you all to make an effective note of it. And wherever I tell you that this is a previous year question, please highlight it. Okay, for the simple reason being, previous year questions repeat a lot in the exam. The topics, the options repeat a lot. So in this context, if at all there is a topic and I say this is a previous year question, please highlight it and box it and mark it as PYQ. That is one thing that I wanted to add. Other than that, the SOP remains the same. So yes, I would request your 2.5 hours attention over here. Yes, every time you have doubts, I give you the free will to pause and ask me what your concerns are. Number 3, as much as possible, make short notes, but make sure that the notes that you make are sensible enough for you to go back and read. Yes. And number 4, most important thing, let us make sure that the learning takes place in class itself. So in every session that we have, right, what I will plan is at the end, the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes will only be revision of whatever we read through this particular day in the class. So the idea is in class itself, I want your revision to take place so that when you go back, you will be able to save a lot of time. And yes, after having had a brief idea about the diaspora of the class, I did understand that many of you are college students and working professionals, which means already there is a time constraint, correct? So as much as possible, what we will do is we will ensure that we will keep it minimal, right? Like we will keep the accumulation of backlogs very minimal, and as much as possible we will try to complete revision over here itself. So that will be the major intent. Okay, so until here I hope all of you are clear. Yes. And apart from that, I would request you all not to sleep or not to while away time by using your mobile phone or anything. All our cameras are off except mine, and I believe that as mature adults you're all operating with a sense of integrity, right? All these sessions are very, very useful. And me having been an aspirant myself, right, and also having been a very recent aspirant, I do empathize and I do understand, right, where many of us are going wrong. And my intent is to ensure that the mistakes done by many other people should not be done by you. There is a quote, life is too short to learn from one's own mistakes, but learn from the mistakes of others, right? So in that case, the problem with this journey is that it takes some time to get accustomed to this process. So many of you, when you start, you may think that, okay, how do I go about this process? What is the expected demand? You may have all these doubts. So initially, when you jump in, it'll be a little bit difficult. But with time, right, in a span of say 1 or 2 months, you will be able to beautifully figure out this process. And once you are done figuring out this process, the next step will be analyzing your strengths and weaknesses and capitalizing on what is best for you, right? So these are few things that I wanted to share. Next, one more thing that I wanted to discuss very importantly with all of you is having a set strategy. So every day, like I said in the morning, what I want you all to do is, irrespective of whether you're working professionals or students, I want you to make a plan. This plan will have what you are going to do for today. For example, you can also include your work hours, your study hours, or your full-time preparation schedule. Along with that, you can also incorporate the daily classes that you will have, right? And after that, what you will be doing and the time that you will be giving for revision. So start your day with a plan. I don't want you all to make weekly or long-term plans. Just daily plans will suffice. Number 1. Second, what I want you all to do is, after every class, right, not just my subject, but any other subject that will continue after this, to make your learning very simple, let me tell you, in chemistry, there is a word called volatile. Do you all know what the word volatile means? Can you all reply in the comment over here? What does the word volatile mean? What does the word volatile mean, guys? Can someone speak it out or can someone put it in the comment section? Have you all heard of this word called volatile in the context of chemistry? I'm waiting for your responses, guys.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I have heard about it. Volatile.
Yes. So,
Right.
Vasan, could you please tell what it is?
Yeah, it's like uh, chemistry. There are some like solution or reagents, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of alcohol. If it's
Okay.
if it's
Left
kept
open.
left open, it will
Mm.
evaporate or
Yes.
it goes off.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I hope it's a
Yes.
volatile.
Very good. So volatile basically means evaporating substance, just like Rubini said, and very good, Vasant. Perfect. So now, in the context of UPSC, let me tell you, your brain has a capacity. Okay. Now, throughout your entire preparation, starting from today till almost say until March or April, okay, you are going to be accumulating so much and so much and so much knowledge. Beyond a point of time, your brain will have a threshold; it will not be able to take it. So whatever you take today, it is highly volatile, meaning it is going to disappear. So how do I retain it in my memory for long term? It only comes down to revision, right? So at the end of the day, the people who make it are people who actually read the same thing 10 to 15 times. So if I have few things that I have to tell you, please make a note of it. These are just some things that I want you all to keep in mind. Okay. Number one, start your day with a planner. So please mention planner. Have you all mentioned? Yes? Okay, so start your day with a daily planner. Okay, done. Next, after every lecture or every session that you have on the same day, in the night before you go to sleep, I want you all to revise what you learned today, right? Whatever you learned today, you should revise the same day's night. Next, tomorrow morning when you wake up, if you can spend 5 to 10 minutes when the minute you start your day, I want you to just do a quick recap of what you read the previous day. So this is known by a term called as reminiscence. Let me just put this in the comment section so that you understand what this is. There is a term in English called as reminiscence. Reminiscence is called as the art of remembering things. Let me give you a very small idea. See, even when you all wrote your board exams, you might have been able to correlate with this. What might have happened is that you might have spent so much time and effort in retaining certain topics in your memory. Fine. You might have spent 2 to 3 hours to complete a chapter in biology. Now, 3 months later, when you look into it, it will feel like you're reading it for the first time. This is a feeling I think many of us will be able to resonate with, right? The simple reason why this is happening is because number one, we find it boring to read the same thing over and over again. Number two, there is lack of revision. Now, let me tell you this. You might have spent so much time in reading a topic. Now you have to capitalize on it. It is like an investment. Try to get returns out of it, which means if you read the same thing at least 7 to 12 times, it will become easy for you to keep your concepts clear. So now in the process of reminiscence, what we are going to do is after your daily planner is done, after you read a particular topic, the same day night you will go and revise. Next day morning also you will revise. Tomorrow, whatever you read, that day night you will revise. The next day morning you will revise. So Monday to Friday, this will keep on occurring. Saturday, one day that you have, what I want you all to do is revise what you learned between Monday to Friday. Sunday, you can take a break and you can maybe give a test series. Half a day, you can take a break because at the end of the day, you're human and you're not a machine or a robot. If you keep on working and working and working, there will be a breaking point, right? So at the end of the day, it's important to be consistent. So one day, that is Sunday, you can give yourself a break. Fine. Monday to Friday, slog. Saturday, you please recall whatever you have to read. Okay, so that is very important. So this is one more thing that I wanted to add, reminiscence. Third, I wanted to share one productivity technique. Okay, productivity technique. So why I'm telling you all of this is because after this, you're all by yourself, you're all going to study, right? So based on certain mistakes I've heard from many others, where I want you to rectify this now itself, so it'll be easy for you. For the benefit of you, I'm sharing this. Third, there is a technique called as Pomodoro technique, right? Pomodoro technique. Fine. So not sure how many of you have heard of it. So it is a technique to improve your efficiency. The idea is very simple. See, every time when we open a topic and we read, you may notice sometimes without your knowledge itself, you are stuck in the same page for 1 hour, right? That means your mind is wavering. And as human, it is very normal for it to happen. So the best thing to do is take your phone, set a timer for 25 minutes. And in these 25 minutes, tell yourself, I am going to do focus studying. So for 25 minutes, you will be with full focus and concentration reading the topic that you have to do. Once that is done, you will be taking a 5-minute break. in this 5-minute break, don't open your phone, don't scroll to random stuff. You can maybe take a walk, you may drink water. That's it. Next, the second cycle, again, set the timer for 25 minutes. Tell yourself that you will be full-fledged, properly focused. And for the next 25 minutes, you will read really well. Again, take a 5-minute break. Then the third time again for 25 minutes and take a 5-minute break. So in this process of dividing your entire preparation, you're studying into small, minor schedules. Your efficiency will improve and the time that you are wasting will become less. And the reason why I'm telling this is majority of you are working professionals and college students. So for you, time management is important. Even for those working or preparing full time, please remember you don't have the luxury to waste time, right? So you also have to be efficient, right? So few things, like I said, make a planner, incorporate reminiscence into your schedule, and also make sure you stick on to Pomodoro technique, right? So divide your preparation into small capsules and try to be efficient. Once 3 cycles of Pomodoro is done, you may take a long break. So these are few things. So after this, I think it will become very easy for you. Incorporate these into your schedule. You will see a difference. And daily, what I want you all to do is, I want you all to solve few PYQs, few previous year questions. Take a look at some MCQs, 1 or 2 MCQs per day, just to get an idea as to what the demand of the exam is. That's it. Okay. With regarding to solving PYQs, I will again give you a simple strategy. But until here, are we all clear? Did you all get an idea as to what is expected out of you? Can I get a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. Okay. So I think all of you are able to follow, right? Good. So now that if all this is clear, I think we can straight away get into the discussion for today. So let's start environment and ecology for all of you. Right? So I think the screen is visible. Okay, great. Yes, so environment and ecology. So there is a quote. Just look at this quote. The world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. This is a quote by Mohandas Karamchand Kanti, right? So can someone tell me what you actually understand out of this quote? And let me tell you, this quote has a lot to do with environment, and you can use this quote frequently in your answers as well. So yes, I want your perspective on what you understand out of this quote. Can you all tell me your perspectives on this quote? The world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes, Varshini?
maybe on the resources basis, ma'am, the world have a lot of resources for everyone's needs. So they provide resources for people who are on need and not for
Yes.
people's own selfishness by destroying it further for human use and all. So that is
Correct.
not right.
Yes,
So
yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So please understand the takeaway from this is that if you take the world, right, it has enough resources for all of us, right? So as humans, we should understand there needs to be a balance between wants and needs. So what is want? What do you mean by want? Your desires. When I say needs, what are our basic needs? Food, shelter, and clothing. Now, when needs, right, when wants become in excess, it may turn into greed, and when greed exceeds, it may bring about a destruction of resources. So, for any answer you write, be it ethics, be it environment, be it economy in terms of development, you can quote this, right? The world has enough for everyone's need, but not everyone's greed. So, this is a reflection of environment. That's it. Okay. So, yes, today is just an orientation, and we will also discuss few topics in detail. So, do not worry. So here, let us start with this. So guys, quickly tell me, what do you understand by the term environment? What is meant by environment? Very basic question. What is meant by environment? What is environment, guys?
Everything around us, nature.
Okay, so Nishita, you're saying the surroundings around us, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So yes, in very simple terms, environment is nothing but everything around us. Our surroundings is called as environment. Okay. So quickly in the comment box, tell me, what are some factors which influence your study environment, right? So I can use environment in any context. So now you all have a independent study space, correct? So what are some factors which influence your study environment? Can you all quickly tell me this in the comment box? Each of you individually, please type it down quick. 5 seconds. Waiting for your responses, guys. What are some factors which will influence your study environment? Your study environment. Can I have your comments, please? I'll give you an example. Okay, noise is something which will affect my study environment. Like this, what are some factors which will affect your study environment? Temperature, wonderful, correct. So think of it. I cannot ask you to go and sit in Thar desert and study, right? Or neither can I expect you all to go and sit in Antarctic and study. It won't make sense at all. Yes, next. Anything else? Social media, interaction and interest. Yes, social media is a very big distraction. Motivation is required for you to study. Yes, so basically good lighting, correct? You can't read in a dark place. The temperature of the place matters. Availability to good food resources, a peaceful sleep, noise-free environment, all this matters a lot. Yes, so environment is basically everything around us. Fine. Okay, so now what we will do is, just a moment. Okay, so what we will do right now is we will be looking into some themes and environment. Fine. So out of all these themes, I'll be discussing few topics with you. And once in a while, right, when you feel the session is going a bit monotonous and all of you feel like you want a short break, I will be discussing some interesting topics like this from you. So let me start with a short story to tell you how environment is linked with culture or how environment is linked with Indian society. Fine. So let us start with this. This is about Amrita Devi Bishnoi and Kejri trees. Fine. So, any of you have an idea of who this person called Amrita Devi Bishnoi was? Any idea? So, all these are mentioned in your NCRT books. Okay. So, just to give you a rough idea, in the 1700s, fine. So, this is a story. Hear me out. In the 1700s, what happened was, if we talk about Rajasthan, fine, near Jodhpur, there was a village. So let me repeat, in the 1700s, Rajasthan, near Jodhpur, there was a village. So what happened over here was there was a king. Now this king wanted to build a grand palace. So to build a palace, obviously, what would you require? You would require wood and timber, right? So what happened was the king sent his soldiers and these soldiers enter into a village and this village is inhabited by the Bishnoi community, right? So this is the Bishnoi community. So now the Bishnois, if you see, since past till now, they have a very close relationship with nature. For example, plants and animals are like their own brothers and sisters. They are like their family members, right? So they protect them with their entire heart. So in this village where the Bishnois were there, there were certain trees which were growing, and these trees were called as the Kejri trees. Okay, so now the greedy king wanted to build a palace. So basically, he sent his soldiers into the villages where the Bishnoi community was. All the men had gone to work. Who was left behind was none other than the woman, right? So what happened was when these people, when the king's soldiers came, they issued orders. And the orders were, they asked all the women to leave the site and they said they were going to chop down the trees. Now, hearing this, the women got startled. They said, how can you chop down the trees? Right? Because the trees are so central to our beliefs and they are like our family. You can never do that. So, hearing this, what happened was one brave woman called Amrita Devi Bishnoi, right? She ran and hugged the tree. Without any mercy, the king's soldiers chopped her along with the tree. Her three daughters ran and hugged the trees. They were also killed. Around 300 plus women sacrificed their lives for the conservation of Kejri trees. So, yes, since then till now, India as a country, we have always valued nature. Our culture, our ethos, our values have been such that we have always appreciated the intrinsic relationship that we have with the resources around us. So yes, way back in 17th century, one man's greed, remember the quote, right? The quote that we just saw, there needs to be a balance between wants and needs. One man's greed of wanting to build a palace led to the death of 300 plus women along with Kejri trees. But yes, to honor the sacrifice put forward by Amrita Devi Bishnoi, the government of India has instituted a wildlife protection award in her name. So for any individuals who take efforts with regard to conserving wildlife, the government gives them this award, and this award is named after her. So this happened way back in the 1700s, and this was a black dot in India's ecological history, right? So now later, if you see in 1970s, there was a movement called as Chipko. In Hindi, the word Chipko means to hug. So here, luckily, when the women hugged the trees, the contractors did not cut down the trees. So way back in the 1700s, it led to the death of so many people. So some short stories like this pertaining to environment, use it like, in your answers, etc. Now, why I brought about this topic was just to tell you how beautifully environment is linked to other subjects. For example, art and culture. And in this case, environment is also linked with Indian society. The story of Amrita Devi Bishnoi is one such thing. So let me ask you something very practically. See, today outside our houses, right, you have multiple trees growing. Do you think you or me will go hug a tree and try to save it to ensure that, to prevent it from being cut down? I think none of us are so sacrificial to, give up on our lives for the sake of a tree. But way back then, there was a community which was willing to sacrifice their entire life to protect certain trees. So this shows how their culture and religion is deeply integrated with the plants and animals around them, right? So until here, have you all been able to follow? So did you all understand the story of Amrita Devi Bishnoi? Can I hear a yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, great, great, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, so next let's talk about a very interesting topic as to how environment is linked with, again, society as well as culture. So look at this. So here, as you can see, there are beautiful images of animals, right? Yes, so there are beautiful images of animals. So this is called as totemism, right? So the word totem refers to a plant or an animal. Totemism means worshipping plants or animals which are considered sacred by certain communities. So many tribes, especially if you see Northeast India, many tribes have their names derived from an animal. They have their family history derived from an animal, right? So let me give you an example. So look at this. This animal is called as an alligator. So in Mexico, right, alligators are considered as totems. So they represent life and death. So in this case, many communities found over there, they have certain beliefs. Now, these beliefs are very central to their own belief system. Okay. So in fact, there is a practice over there where certain male members of certain clans in a ceremony, they get married to an alligator. Can you or me imagine getting married to an alligator? No, right? But this is the cultural belief of the people. So you can see how environment has deeply got integrated with the local beliefs of people. Now, I have a question for you. I told you what totemism is. I gave you an example for it. So can I say that totemism as a cultural practice, let me repeat, totemism as a cultural practice has indirectly contributed to environmental conservation of certain species. Can we agree on that? Totemism as a cultural practice has indirectly contributed to conservation of certain species. What do you all think? Yes? No? Can I get it on the comments? Waiting for your responses, guys. Yes, yes, wonderful. Okay, so yes, so totemism as a cultural practice has somewhere contributed to species conservation. I'll give you very simple examples. See, among the Hindus, right, we consider neem plant, tulsi plant as sacred. So some way, because we're considering them as sacred, we will not go and affect them. We will not go and chop them unnecessarily. So different religions, because of their cultural practices, so strong, somewhere even the conservation of species is taking place. So read about this festival. It's called as Kukur Tihar. It is done in Nepal. It is to do with dogs. Fine. So read about it when you have time. So like this, throughout India, there are multiple examples of totemism around the world. Also, many species are given a sacred status. All of you know what sacred is, right? Holy. They're considered holy, and thereby they are getting conserved, right? So like this, we will look at few more topics, right? So here I'll talk to you about a very interesting topic. This is called as biopiracy. Okay. So let me tell you this. So guys, have you all heard of this game called as Dumb Charades? Have you all heard of this game called as Dumb Charades? Can I get it on the comment box? Dumb Charades. Have you heard of this game? Yes. So Rubini says yes. Okay. So in very simple terms, dumb charades is nothing but if there is a word, right, you will have to break it down and act it. And let me tell you, dumb charades, especially breaking down words, could be very useful in your UPSC exam. Because here, if you're able to break down words, you have cracked the code. So look at this. So there is a word called biopiracy, right? So if I break it down, there are two words. One is called as bio and the other is called as piracy. The word bio means living. Piracy refers to theft. Okay. So all of you know there is a term called pirates. Pirates, pirates. Have you heard of these people called as pirates? Who are these pirates? Who are pirates? Waiting for your responses. Who are pirates?
Thieves.
Thieves. Okay. So are they thieves on land or where are they?
Ma'am, water, sea.
Yes. So can I say pirates are like sea thieves? So where do we find a lot of pirates? So have you all heard of Somalia, right? So across the African coast in many places you find pirates. So they are called sea thieves. So pirates, piracy, please try to understand. Bio means living and piracy means theft. Okay. So to keep it in very simple terms, for you to understand the story of biopiracy, the concept of biopiracy, I will tell you a short story. Okay. So try to understand the story in detail. Okay. So now there is a company in US. Okay, this company is a multinational corporation. All of you understand what the word multinational corporation means. Basically means this company has its presence globally across many other countries in the world. So this is called as multinational corporation. Now this company prepares a product. Okay, they basically sell a product. This product is nothing but a hair oil. Okay, this hair oil is known to cure joint pain. Fine. So knee relief pain oil they are preparing. So how do they prepare? They have certain herbs and ingredients with which they are preparing a suitable way through which they can treat knee pain ailments. So that is what this company is basically doing. Okay. So this is the job of the company. So now what is happening over here is that, right, this from this company in US, two representatives decide to take a trip. And now they take a trip and they travel to India. In India, they have come to Telangana. Fine. So let me just give you a brief run through. Hear me out carefully. Okay. There is a company in US. This company is a multinational corporation. And the primary product that this company develops is it prepares oils. Okay. It prepares oils which can treat knee pain. Okay. Which can treat joint pain, knee pain, shoulder pain, etc. So now from this company, two representatives decide to go on a trip and they land up in India. So this is the story so far. Okay, they decide to land up in India. Now they have reached Telangana. They have come to a particular village. Now in front of their eyes, a scene is taking place. So what is happening over here is that they notice many children playing. Okay, and here what happens is one boy falls to the ground and he gets hurt. Now, the minute he gets hurt, there is a scar in his elbow, right? So now his grandmother, what his grandmother is doing is she's taking out certain herbs, etc., adding some oil, making a thick paste, right? So have you seen this? It's called mortar and pestle. Fine. So she is preparing a thick paste, and with this paste, she's applying it on the child's wounds. Now, these two representatives from the company decide to stay here overnight. Okay, next day morning, when they see the child's wounds have actually healed very quickly. They are still there, but they have healed very quickly. Immediately, these two people come with an idea. And the idea is, see, we are preparing oils for knee relief. Okay, these people have some knowledge on how to produce certain wounds, like, how to heal certain wounds. So why don't we try to make use of their knowledge, create products, sell them, and make a huge profit? This was the company's idea. So now this company had two options, right? So if at all this company says, right, anyways, these are tribal people, they don't have awareness, right? Let us create this product like as though it is our own innovation, and let us market and sell it and make a huge deal of a profit. Is it right or wrong? You tell me. Is it right or wrong?
Ma'am,
Guys,
they may
yes.
sell the product, but in name, they should have given the rights or authority to them, because
Okay.
knowledge, wider range of moving knowledge is a very good thing. So people can
Hmm.
able to use it on a good face, but
Yes.
the authority of right is very important on the concept of name.
Okay.
So
Yes. So let me tell you, let me just repeat the context again so that all of you are able to understand. So good insights, Varshini, but just let me tell you this. All I was trying to say is now this company is coming up with an idea. The idea is they are going to make a fool out of the villagers. They are going to say, we will use their knowledge, we will cheat on them, okay, and we will make a product and we will sell it to the rest of the world, and we alone will make profit. Is that right or wrong? That is what I was asking, for which Varshini has said it is wrong. Okay, now let me give you option two. Now this company says, see, anyways, we are a growing company, right? And we require the knowledge of certain communities for us to grow. Now, what we can do is we can develop this village. We will give employment opportunities to these villagers. We will compensate them for the knowledge that we are using, right? And let the patent rights be with them. Okay, so I will tell you what the word patent means. So let these rights be with them, and we will use their knowledge and develop and sell this product. And we will also give a percentage share to this village because it is their traditional knowledge. So is this correct or wrong? You tell me. Is it correct or wrong? Please reply in the comments. Guys, I'm waiting for your response. Okay, Jilain says correct. What about the others? Karthikeyan says correct. Satyanathan says correct. Okay, okay. Surendra, Shweta, yes. Kavya, good, good, good. Danukesh. Okay, wonderful. All of you have said correct. Yes. Okay. So now here, please understand. So here, this concept, right, where when I said option one, the company is going to steal the knowledge for their own profit motive, that is called as biopiracy. Now, before that, let me tell you what the word patent means. So patent basically means seeking exclusive rights over something. Okay. For example, imagine if at all the world never had something called a water bottle, and the first one to have come up with the idea of a water bottle, I can claim certain rights for innovating this. Okay. So now this is called as a patent. Fine. So around the world, what is happening is many companies are claiming false patents. Especially India is always facing issues with regard to this, and you will forever be reading this in the newspaper. For the simple reason being, majority of our traditional knowledge is written in Sanskrit or other ancient texts, and it is not translated to other languages. For example, there was one US company which produced long grain rice, which was very similar to our basmati rice, and they were claiming patent for it. So India said, look, our farmers in Punjab and Haryana have been producing basmati rice for years together. Then one more company with turmeric. So all of you know what turmeric is, right? Manjal, haldi, right? So with turmeric, they had come up with certain medicine. So now here India said that, look, for years together in our food, even to cleanse our house, we are using turmeric. So you cannot claim exclusive patent rights for this. So issues like this are always in the news. So this is one topic which beautifully links environment with ethics. Okay. So the idea is through the journey of your UPSC preparation, please understand environment is integrated with every other subject, and also environment is also associated with certain core concepts like this. Okay, I hope this is clear. So yes, once in a while we will be looking at some fillers and some terms. Okay, so yes, just look at this word, sixth episode of mass extinction. Let me tell you, this was a UPSC previous year question. One time in prelims they had asked, The term sixth episode of mass extinction seen in news relates to which of the following? A, B, C, D. So here such terminologies you should have a very strong idea. Okay. So what does the word extinction mean, guys? Can you all reply in the comment? What does the word extinction mean? What does the word extinction mean, guys?
Disappeared.
Disappeared. Okay.
Declining, ma'am.
Declining. So extinction means something no longer exists on the face of the earth. For example, dinosaurs are extinct, correct? The only dinosaurs that we can see is in the movie called Jurassic Park. But in reality, we cannot see dinosaurs. It's an extinct species. So let me tell you, the term sixth episode of mass extinction basically means resources around us are constantly depleting, depleting, depleting. Okay. The current episode of extinction that you and me, that is mankind, is in is called as sixth episode of mass extinction. So from the time the world began till now, right, there have been 5 episodes of extinction which have already taken place. For example, the time when dinosaurs disappeared was denoted with 1 episode of extinction. So now in the context, this thing you should remember because it's also mentioned in your NCRT book and because it has also been tested as a previous year question. Sixth episode of mass extinction refers to the current extinction episode that mankind is in, right? So if at all questions like this come, you need to have an idea. Okay, so this is one. So are we all clear until this? So please make a note of sixth episode of mass extinction and write PYQ. PYQ. Can you all do that? Sixth episode of mass extinction and please mention previous year question. Okay, done. So now again, we are going to try playing dumb charades. I'll give you a word, try guessing. So guys, look at these images, right? There are some images in front of you. Okay, so I want you all to look at these images. Fine. So I think these images are clear. Anthropos. Okay, so try playing dumb charades, try decoding what it means, break it down and think. Take a minute, take few seconds and then we will discuss. Anthropos. Look at these images. See if you're able to get any hint. Fine. So can some of you tell me what are you able to understand out of this image? So just take a wild guess, guys. Even if it's wrong, it's completely fine. We are all learning and we all learn through mistakes, right? So let me always tell you this. This is for all of you. Yes. Just one moment.
They
just
are
one
wild
moment, Varshini.
animals.
Yes, Varshini, just
Wild
one
animals.
moment.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, just a moment. See, so I see some of you actively engaging. I see some of you typing in the comments. And I see some of you are not commenting. I am not going to force you. I completely respect your personal choice, whatever is comfortable for you. But let me tell you this, never feel shy. Never feel shy to express your opinion, whether it is right or wrong, because we are all learners, right? Your answer could help your friend. And it is very important to come out of your comfort zone. Only when you come out of your comfort zone will you be able to appreciate your true self. So today, if you don't come out, remember tomorrow when you become a civil servant, right? You will have to take decisions for the entire district. So that time, you can't be shy. You have to be bold. So what I would say is, even if you feel you're an introvert or an ambivert or anything, try to respond. Try to participate. No one is going to judge you. This is a forum for all of us to learn. So if we make mistakes, it is completely fine, right? So that is assured. Okay. So yes, Vashini, you were telling me something. Sorry to cut you. Please go on.
Ma'am, wild animals on roads, that meant that their home has been destroyed.
Okay, their home has been destroyed, so they are coming out. Okay, good.
Yes.
Anybody else? Good, Vashini. Anybody else? So Rubini says deforestation. Shweta says indirectly human crossing an animal's path. Okay, beautiful. Looking at the image you have said. Okay, so let me tell you this. So this word called as anthropos was coined during COVID-19. So you remember one tiny virus scared all of us and we were all locked indoors, right? Nobody wants to recollect the memories of COVID-19 because they were very traumatizing for all of us. So here, yes, man more or less locked himself up indoor. So of course, when man is not outside, right, it gives animals a better quality of life. Think about it. During that time, industries stopped running. Many industries were shut down. Vehicular movement became less. People's movement became less. So here, the threats that animals faced became less. As a result of which, the population of animals improved and they started coming out. So now, like I said, we have to pay dumb charades. So you have understood the context, right? Look at the word anthro. So the word anthro refers to anything to do with man. So even when you write an answer, those days in geography, you used to write natural causes and man-made causes, right? Okay, so Babu Priya says animal venture into urban space. Fine. So natural, man-made. Instead of man-made, I want you all to use the word anthropogenic. Anthropogenic cause. Sounds more mature. Anthropogenic. Do you want me to type it out over here? I will do that for you. You can make a note. So every time you write causes, right? Natural causes, anthropogenic cause. This you can mention. Anthropogenic is nothing but man-made. So the word anthro is always associated with man. For example, anthropology is a study of evolution of man. So anthro, man, pause means temporary stop. So during COVID-19, when there was a temporary stop in man-made activities, the quality of life of animals improved. So here, when terms like this come in the exam, no, they will only ask like this: which of the following best describes the term anthropos recently seen in news? 4 options will be there. You will have to figure it out. So here, if you have a rough idea of what the demand is, it will be very, very easy for you. So until here, are we all clear? Yes? Any doubts? Have you all been able to understand? The only reason why I'm discussing this term is a question on 6th episode of mass extinction has been tested in the exam. So here it becomes very important for us to know what the word anthropos basically means. So are we all clear? Can I hear a yes or a thumbs up?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, very good, very good. Glad. Wonderful. So guys, with this, what we have officially done is we have decoded some themes in environment. Okay, there are some more themes left. As and when we are continuing our regular classes, I will discuss these terms with you, as you know, short gaps between our actual course syllabus. Okay, wonderful. So now here, further moving forward, let us talk about this. So we are entering into the important part. Okay. So talking about the syllabus, right? So here you will have the prelims, you will also have the mains. So in both these areas, environment plays a vital role. Talking about prelims, the syllabus clearly says general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, and climate change that do not require subject specialization, right? So guys, have you all seen these Google ads? At the end of the Google ad, what do you find? There is something new which comes at the end of the Google ad. Any idea what it is? At the end of the Google ad, have you seen multiple advertisements which come? What comes at the end of the Google advertisement?
Like it may ask, are you interested or something like that?
Terms and conditions apply. Correct? Have you seen? Terms and conditions apply. So here, sometimes you're also bored, you don't read the entire thing and you just say yes and go forward. So similarly, in the context of environment, let me tell you, this word, although it says that does not require subject specialization, in recent days, right, the questions are becoming a little bit tricky. That is the reality. But is it manageable? 100% yes. How will that be manageable? Number one, if your conceptual clarity is strong. Number two, if you're able to logically think. Number three, if you're able to employ elimination effectively. If this can be done, the entire process will become very, very smooth. So do not worry about it. So yes, with regard to environment in your prelims, the syllabus talks about general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, and climate change that do not require subject specialization. So this is the official syllabus for your prelims, right? So when we talk about ecology, I will further be discussing what will be the focus areas. So do not worry. So next, going forward, if I talk to you about our mains syllabus, right? Our main syllabus, we will be talking about conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, as well as environmental impact assessment. Okay, so when I say conservation, it more or less talks about biodiversity. So when I talk about biodiversity, I'm talking about the different varieties of plants and animals found around us. What are some efforts that we are taking to conserve them, right? When I talk about pollution, different types of pollution are being discussed in the news. I'm sure all of you are aware: air pollution, water pollution, noise pollution, land pollution, etc. But now, if you see, UPSC's interest even in pollution has got slightly drifted. UPSC is very interested in testing areas such as plastic pollution, electronic waste, biomedical waste. So think about it, post COVID-19, biomedical waste has become a problem. How do we dispose the syringes? How do we dispose masks? How do we dispose the PP kit that people use, right? If we talk about e-waste, so are you all aware India has overtaken China to become the most populous country in the world? I think all of you should be aware of this. Earlier, China was the most populous country. Now, India has overtaken China to become the most populous country in the world. So imagine if it become the most populous country, how many billion people are there in our country? How many electronic gadgets might be there? How much of e-waste would be getting generated? So yes, significantly in the previous year questions, many topics pertaining to e-waste has also come. We will discuss about all of this, do not worry. Talking about plastic waste. So one thing that I wanted to tell you over here is, so yes, plastic is a pressing problem. So now imagine in your mains, if you are writing an answer on plastic, right? So here for plastics, if UPSC is asking you a question, plastic waste management is the need of the hour, comment. That is the question. Plastic waste management is the need of the hour, comment. You have written an introduction on plastic waste. In the body of the answer, you're talking about plastic waste. Why is it happening? What are the threats associated with it? Now in the conclusion, right? Conclusion is very important. Here, your mindset will be tested. Some people write a very boring conclusion. They say just by looking, therefore, based on the above measures, right? Plastic waste should be managed in a better way. Some generic conclusions are given, which is never appreciated in the exam. Your conclusions also need to have value. Your conclusions also need to be very comprehensive. So now let me give you an example of an optimistic conclusion. Okay. So in Kerala, there was a famous person who came up with the idea of a concept called as poly-blend road. So let me type it out in the comment box for you. Poly-blend road. Now this polyblend road has been laid in one stretch in Bangalore. Okay. So what is the idea of polyblend road? So this person understood that, okay, fine. In the context of India, right, when a lot of researches were being done with regard to how to manage plastic waste, two major pressing problems are: one, if you take the roads that we have, right, you all know after one rain, the original condition of the road gets revealed, right? So the money that should have gone into construction somewhere might have got a little bit diverted. So in this case, yes, now and then when some major works happen, the conditions of the roads more or less become dilapidated. So here, what many people have observed is after a rain, pothole problem is created, right? There are many potholes in the roads, as a result of which many accidents also happen. So this person thought, why not come up with an idea called as polyblend roads? So read about it and tell me who the person is later. Okay. So polyblend roads, the idea of polyblend road is very simple. So what they were going to do is they were going to collect plastic waste. Okay. And they were going to mix it with bitumen. Bitumen is a type of coal. So plastic waste plus bitumen mixed together, if we lay roads with it, pothole problem will never be there. If pothole problems are not going to be there, accidents will become minimized. So this is a very unique solution which addresses two problems. One, the problem of potholes, and second, the issue of accidents occurring in our country, right? So this is a very beautiful way in which we can put in plastic to such effective use. So if at all, when you become a DM in your district also, right, if you incorporate such solutions where you are using plastics to build polyblend roads, it will be very useful, right? So in this context, when time permits, I want you all to read about this very interesting topic and later tell me what this is. So read about Ambikapur Cafe and plastic waste. Okay, read about this when you get time. Fine. So now with regard to this, I have given you a brief idea on pollution. When we talk about degradation, we're talking about land degradation, the pollution in land, what is going to happen. And yes, over here, we'll also be talking about environmental impact assessment. So in short, let me tell you what EIA is. So see, many times when projects are being approved in a particular site, it is causing widespread damage. So the idea of an environmental impact assessment is before we give approval to any project, a study has to be undertaken whether this project can be set up in this place or not. Now, based on this, if at all the damage the project that causes on the environment, if the damage is less, we can give a clearance to the project. But no, if the damage is going to be very heavy, we should not be constructing this project over here. Let me give you an example. There is a place. Okay. Now, this place has frequent earthquakes. Do you think it makes sense to build a dam in this place? Tell me yes or no.
No, ma'am.
No, right? Obviously. So imagine if people did not do an EIA and they spent crores of money in building this, right? That would go for a waste because anytime when an earthquake is going to happen and this being in a very seismic prone zone, there could be certain damage involved, right? So these are some things. So here about environmental impact assessment also, it is in there in your main syllabus, so you will be going through it. Okay, fine. So further moving forward, so guys, with regard to environment, these are our core focus areas, right? Talking of our core focus areas, basics of ecology and ecosystem. We will be clubbing both these. They are individual chapters, but we will be clubbing this and we will be covering this up together. Biodiversity is one more area, pollution as well as climate change. Talking about basics of ecology and ecosystem, core concepts will be tested over here. Talking about biodiversity, like I said, animals, plants, the species that you see frequently in news, all of this will be tested over here. Next, talking about pollution, right? We will be talking about different types of pollution. And yes, we will also be reading about a topic called as climate change. Every now and then, there is a topic on climate change in the exam, right? So what is climate change? Why is it happening? What are some trigger factors for climate change? All this we will try understanding in a very detailed manner. Okay. So yes, so this is done. So now moving forward, let us look at this. So guys, this is very important. What is our approach going to be for basics of ecology and ecosystem, biodiversity, pollution, and climate change? So if at all I divide the whole of environment for you, three things are major. Number one, concepts. Okay, you should have very good conceptual clarity on whatever you are reading. Number two, national and international efforts. When I say national and international efforts, efforts taken by India and efforts taken by the rest of the world. Number three is current affairs. So if we take the whole of environment, these three are the major parts. Definitions, that is concepts, national and international efforts, current affairs. Now, if I take basics of ecology and ecosystem, this is a core environmental area. So here there is only a major overlap of concepts, right? But on the other hand, if I look at areas like biodiversity, climate change, and pollution, this triangle that I am making over here, right? So these three areas have not just concepts, but also current affairs, national and international efforts. Here in the context of ecosystem, the scope for current affairs a little bit is there because we talk about different types of ecosystems. We'll be reading about mangroves and corals, etc. But in the basics of ecology part, which is nothing but definitions and terminologies, the scope for current affairs is minimal. Okay, here it is primarily concepts. So like this, before we read, we should have a very good clarity of what we are getting into. So I think right now we are all getting a picture of what we are entering into, right? So let me make this more specific. When I say concepts, what we'll be learning? New terms. For example, we saw the term anthropause. We saw the term sixth episode of mass extinction. This we will be learning. Next, when I say definition, for example, I told you the definition of biopiracy, right? So like this, certain definitions we will be learning. Processes, any processes mentioned. For example, photosynthesis. All of you know what photosynthesis is, right? Right? How green plants prepare their food using sunlight. This is an example of a process. Like this, multiple processes will be there. Next, international and national efforts. Here we will be trying to understand certain legislations and treaties. When I say legislations, I'm talking about acts. For example, in the news, you will be reading about acts like Wildlife Protection Act 1972. you will be reading about acts like Environmental Protection Act 1986, right? So when polity is covered, you will be able to understand what the term act is. Fine. So this also will be taken care. Next, when I say initiatives, an example of an initiative is Project Tiger. Project Tiger is an initiative launched by the Indian government to conserve tiger. Project Dolphin, Project Elephant, all these are examples of initiatives. When I talk about schemes pertaining to environment, also there are few specific schemes, right? So we will try understanding certain schemes pertaining to environment in detail. Fine. Next, when I talk about organizations, right? It could be certain bodies. So guys, any idea what WWF is in the context of environment? I'm not talking about the wrestling championship, WWF. So WWF in the context of environment stands for Worldwide Fund for Nature. This is an example of an organization. There are other organizations like National Green Tribunal, fine, Animal Welfare Board of India, Central Pollution Control Board. So such organizations are also important. They more or less will come in current affairs. So that will be taken care. Do not worry. And yes, after all this is done, talking about current affairs, please follow the paper regularly. Like I said, highlight the topics. If it is GS paper 3, link it with the syllabus. See if it comes under ecology, under ecosystem, biodiversity, pollution, or climate change. Miscellaneous topics will also be there. Make a note. Finally, test and revision. The only way to capitalize on what you have done is by frequent revision. Only then you will remember what you read. And the more you read the same thing again and again, you will develop different perspectives and you will be able to appreciate the concept better. Finally, the most important thing is taking tests. See, at the end of the day, the reality of this exam is all about marks, right? So whether you like it or not, this exam is about marks. This is the harsh reality. Your mains mark, your interview mark is what happens. So here, the only way to check how much you have learned is by taking tests. For example, you may like a subject, but your marks in that subject may not be great. Why? Because there is always a gap between your knowledge and your marks. And that gap between your knowledge and marks is fulfilled through revision and test. So only when revision, test, and conceptual clarity take place, you will be able to convert your knowledge into marks. You may understand a topic very well, but when you see a MCQ question with different words used in English, it is altogether a different ball game. Understanding it, interpreting it, logically eliminating it, and arriving at the answer, all this matters a lot. So in this context, here taking tests is very, very important, guys. So please make sure you are taking rigorous tests. Fine. So now that this is done, let us move forward. So what will be your sources? Talking about the references for your environment and ecology. My class PPTs is more or less more than enough. Many key terms, etc. are already there. It is comprehensively made. You can directly go through it. Apart from that, talking about the NCERT Class 12 Biology book, right? The latest edition has only these 3 chapters. Okay, the earlier editions had even a 4th chapter. So in this context, go through these 4 chapters. This will actually play a vital role. For example, organisms and population, right? This is one chapter which correlates with your basics of ecology. Ecosystem, as you all saw, there is a chapter called ecosystem. Biodiversity and conservation primarily deals with biodiversity. Environmental issues talks about pollution and climate change. So NCERT is the base, and from the NCERTs also many questions have been tested, right? The story of Amrita Devi Bishnoi that I told you, the concepts such as 6th episode of mass extinction, all of this is fetched out of the NCERTs. There is something called as NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling. After this, if you want to go for one more source, there is a book called as PMF IAS. You can go through that. If not, you can also go through these books. Ecological concepts in your NIOS. Just go to Google, type NIOS Module 2 Ecological Concepts. Type NIOS Module 4 Pollution and Climate Change. You will get PDFs. You can go through this as well. So here, don't complicate the sources. Keep it very simple. PPT plus one additional source. If at all the PPTs, if you feel you're not very convinced, then you can go to the NCERTs. Because whatever is there in NCERTs and NIOS and also other sources like PMFIS has been incorporated in my PPTs already. So PPTs, previous year questions, revision, test, test, test. That will be the strategy. Let me repeat. PPT, previous year questions, revision, test, test, test. So this is all you have to do. So with this, we are having a rough idea of what these sources are. Further moving forward, let's talk about this. Why is environment and ecology important for UPSC? So yes, number one, the weightage of environment and ecology in the context of your prelims is ever increasing, right? So when I say static, I'm talking about the core content, the actual static. When I say dynamic, I'm talking about current affairs. So in your exam, the weightage of environment questions, both in static as well as current affairs, is on the rise. Yes, from current affairs, many questions are coming. Let me give you a simple example. So this will also help you understand why reading the paper is important. So if you see, a few years ago, there was a question, bio rock technology. Let me type this out for you. You will all be able to understand. There was a question, bio rock technology. Okay, bio rock technology recently seen in news relates to which of the following? And there were 4 options, and one, is used to restore which of the followings. There was options like mangroves, coral reefs, and 2 more options are there. The answer was coral reefs. Now imagine that particular year you had read the newspaper. While skimming through, you came across a heading, bio rock technology is used to restore coral reef. That's it. So this answer could have been easily solved. UPSC was never interested in asking what is biorock technology, what is the chemistry behind it, how does it operate? No, they were just interested in knowing, are you aware that biorock technology has been used to restore coral reefs? That's it. That was the intent. Okay. So here, current affairs, as you can see, there is an overlap. Now, species-based questions are on the rise. So let me tell you, when I say species, questions on plants and animals are increasing in the UPSC exam. So here you have to have a very good clarity of different types of plants and animals. And here, whatever is in the news, especially, you have to be thorough, as well as previous year questions and the options. Okay. So whenever you solve previous year questions on any species, watch out for the question, watch out from the option, because even options can reappear as questions in the upcoming years. So watch out for that. Talking about species-based questions, right? Let me just give you an idea. So here, one particular year, there was a question. Okay. Which animal uses a stick as a tool to make holes in the ground to pull out insects for it to eat? There were multiple options, right? There were options like otter. There was an option called as orangutan. There were a few more options. The answer is orangutan. So here, let me tell you, if you think that you may find the answer to this in the books that you read, no. The only way to figure out the answer to this question could have been by looking at the other options. And here, when you see the other options, maybe orangutan would have had the higher probability of being right, and therefore it could have been correct. So like this, many questions are coming. One more year, there was a question. Okay, waggle dance. Let me put this across. Waggle dance. So waggle dance is performed by which animal, which species? The options were number 1, butterfly, number 2, dragonfly, number 3, you had honeybee, and number 4, you had one more option. Okay, butterfly, dragonfly, honeybee, and there was one more option. The answer for this is honeybee. So now all I'm trying to tell you over here is, see, if I ask you, Kuchipudi is the dance of which particular state, even for human dances, we find it difficult to remember. But UPSC over here is asking a dance performed by an animal. So how do you think it will be easy for us to know all of this? So yes, all this was in the news, right? All this was in the current affairs. So if you had been following current affairs sincerely, it would have been useful for you. Next, interlinkages with other subjects, like I showed you in the introduction, sacred groves, totemism, biopiracy, how it is linked with environment and art and culture, environment and Indian society, environment and ethics. In your essay paper also to play a role. Your actual GS3 mains paper also plays a vital role. And yes, in your interview. So in your interview, if at all you say that you are coming from a place called Nilgiris, then definitely many questions about Nilgiris, flora and fauna. What does flora and fauna mean? Plant and animal. So let me tell you, as you continue your journey in UPSC prep, your vocabulary should also improve, right? When I say your vocabulary should improve, the terms that you're using should also improve. So here, Flora and fauna means plants and animals. Okay. So in this context, if you say you're coming from a particular district, UPSC will definitely ask questions. They'll ask questions on the rivers found over there, any animal which is famous to that place, any national park, wildlife sanctuary found in your particular site, the local tribes found over there. Okay. All such questions will be tested. Fine. And overall, with this environment, right, I've given you a rough orientation. Next, we will be decoding this, the previous year question breakup. Okay. So guys, 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, and I've given you the number of questions. So let me tell you, in the year 2024, there were 18 questions, and in the year 2025, there were around 13 questions. Okay, 18 and 13. So anyway, if you see, the highest number of questions might have been in 24 and 2016. So are you all aware, in UPSC prelims, every correct question carries how many marks? Can you all put it in the chat box? Every correct question carries how many marks? Please tell me. Person says 2. Good. Every correct question carries 2 marks. So guys, 18 into 2 is what? 36, correct? Okay. Similarly, the least number of questions was in 2020 where it was 10. 10 into 2 is what? 20, which means anywhere between 20 to 36 marks is possible in your prelims. And year on year, look at the cutoff. Let me tell you, in the last 2 years, fine. If we talk about 2024, right, the cutoff has been in the range of 80s to 90s, like, 92 range. Now, if we talk about 20, yes, so this year it's still not come out. But if we talk about the other previous years, so one particular year it was somewhere around 70, in the 70s, 78. In some years it is in 80s. Very rarely it is going to 90s in this particular year. For the simple reason being that year on year, the questions difficulty is improving. So yes, more or less the cutoff has been in this range. So where is 36? Where is 76? Where is 86? Where is 90? So if 36 is the maximum score and anywhere close to 20 is the maximum score, so you will be able to understand how important environment and ecology as a subject is for your prelims exam. So yes, from my end, I have done the best possible marketing for environment and ecology. Now, after this, it is up to you to invoke a sense of interest and cover this subject in detail. Okay. So I will help you out for that. We will have fun when we study environment. We'll completely be taken care. Do not worry. So here I have just given you a brief orientation into environment and ecology and how we will be covering the syllabus. So until here, do you all have any doubts? Can you all respond? Do you all have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So have you all been able to follow? Can I have a yes? Are you all clear with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
demarcation? Yes, all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so super. I'm glad. So, guys, what we will do is we will take a short break for 10 minutes. Okay, and we will bounce back. And with this, we will be straight away entering into the topic basics of ecology, right? And we will start officially today. So, now that we are done with the orientation, so we will take a small pause, take a 10-minute break, refresh yourself, right? And please come back on time. We will start sharp in 10 minutes. Okay. So yes, I will see you soon, right? So please take a break and come back. Okay, so guys, are we all back? Are all of you back? I want all of you to respond in the comment box saying yes. 10 minutes is done, right? So here we should have a certain degree of accountability with ourselves. Only then does it make sense, right? So here, yes, I'm waiting for all of your responses. Ashwant, Nazmia, Danukesh, Mohana Priya, Vasant, Kavya, Ashini. Okay, what about the others? Karthikeyan, Fatima, Hania. Okay, anybody else? Rubini, Devika, Kavya, Yamini. Okay, okay. Breza, Sharon. Good. Okay, fine. So here, many of you are back. Good. So the others, I request you all to come back soon. Yes, 10 minutes means 10 minutes, not anywhere more than that. Okay. So guys, let's straight away start off with basics of ecology, right? So first, we will try decoding some terminologies. Okay. So first, let's start with this. So look at the PPT itself. Ecology. The word ecology is actually derived from two Greek words, okay? It is called as oikos and logi, where the word oikos means home and logi means study. So ecology is nothing but, in simple terms, if we have to basically understand what ecology, it is nothing but how any two organisms interact with each other and their surrounding environment. I'll give you a very simple way of understanding it. Now, for example, let me call an organism called as A. Fine, there is an organism by the name A. Now, how A is going to interact with A, and together how A is going to interact with the environment. That is nothing but ecology. So here, the interaction between two organisms and their overall interaction with the environment is nothing but the interest of ecology. So the person who coined the term ecology is a German biologist by the name Ernst Haeckel. So let me tell you, for UPSC, this is not required. But if you're writing other exams like TNPSC or say other exams like SSC, etc., these terms can be a little bit important. Next, like every subject, the person who contributes the most to the subject is called as the father of the subject. In the context of ecology, Alexander von Humboldt is regarded as the father of ecology. So these are few things with regard to what the term ecology is. So I'm sure these are basics. All of you will have an idea. Next, moving forward, what is environment? The word environment is derived from a French word called as environner. Okay, so basically the word environner means to surround. So here environment is nothing but all the things around us. It could be living, non-living things. So if we are an organism, everything around us, which includes both living and non-living, is included under the scope of environment. So right now we are just decoding basic terms. These are very easy, so don't worry. Next, we will be talking about this. What are the various components of the environment? So guys, please make a note of this or take a screenshot. Talking about the components of the environment, we have two major components called as biotic and abiotic. The word biotic means living components, living. Anything which is living is called as biotic. Anything which is non-living is called as abiotic. Okay, so when I say living components, you have plants, you have animals, and yes, animals include certain creatures like microorganisms like bacteria and fungi. They all come under biotic or the living components. Now, if I talk about abiotic or the non-living components, it includes components such as temperature, salinity, pH, soil, substrate, water, and air. All this is brought under the scope of abiotic components. Fine. So components of the environment are primarily two, biotic and abiotic. Under biotic, you have plants, animals, bacteria, and fungi. Under abiotic, you have any non-living thing. It could be temperature, it could be salinity, it could be energy, it could also include gravity. Okay, so apart from this, energy, gravity can also be brought under the scope of abiotic components. So guys, so far we are just discussing basic concepts. We tried understanding what the word ecology is, what the term environment is, and now we have decoded components of the environment. Okay. So now here, what we will do is we will try understanding biotic components and their classification in detail. Okay. So look at this. So here, when I talk about biotic components, right? Biotic components primarily include two major things. The two major things are, number one, we have what is called as autotrophs, and yes, number two, we also have what is called as heterotrophs. Okay, so when I say autotrophs, like I said, again, break it, auto and trophs. So autotrophs basically refers to those organisms which are capable of producing their own food. Okay, the best example for this is green plants. Think about this. Green plants perform photosynthesis. They make use of sunlight, right? And using sunlight, they try to convert, they try to basically make use of sunlight. They make use of oxygen, etc., and they produce sugar. So this is nothing but photosynthesis, right? So green plants are regarded as autotrophs because they produce their own food. So when I divide biotic components, we divide them into two major parts. Number one, you have autotrophs, and number two, you have heterotrophs. Autotrophs are those organisms which are capable of producing their own food. Okay. The other name for autotroph is producers. Doesn't it make sense? Autotrophs are called as producers because they produce their own food. Please understand. Next, on the other hand, when we talk about other biotic components, we can also talk about heterotrophs. Heterotrophs refers to organisms which are incapable of producing their own food. Okay, so they have to depend on autotrophs or other organisms for them to feed. Let me keep it simple. So here, when we talk about heterotrophs, the other name for heterotrophs is consumers. Why? Because they are not producers and they depend on other organisms for their consumption. So here, biotic components can be divided into two major classifications. Please remember this: autotrophs and heterotrophs. Now, if we decode heterotrophs, I know all these seem very easy for you, but I will also show you certain questions where UPSC has always kept traps for us, right? So here, if we talk about heterotrophs, we have herbivores. Herbivores, we all know, grass-eating animals, example, elephant, deer. Carnivores, meat-eating animals like lion and tiger. Omnivores, it includes animals which eat both, for example, bear, crow. When I say decomposers, we're talking about microorganisms. These decomposers are known to feed on the dead and break it down. Okay, so here, are we all clear with what autotrophs and heterotrophs are? Autotrophs produce their own food. Heterotrophs depend on other organisms for their food. Autotrophs are also called as producers. Heterotrophs are also called as consumers. The different types of heterotrophs include herbivore, carnivore, omnivore, and decomposer. Okay, so until here we are clear, correct? Yes. So now I have a question for you. Have you all heard of the term called as scavenger? Can you all tell me what a scavenger is in the comment? What is a scavenger? Can I have it in the comment box? Can I know what scavengers are? Have you all heard of scavengers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what are scavengers?
Ma'am, which eat dead and decaying matter.
Okay, which feed on dead matter, fine, decaying. Yeah, which feed on dead and decaying matter. Okay. Example of a scavenger? Vulture. Have you all heard? Yes, vultures are one of the best example of scavengers. Fine. So now here, if you see, we have never put scavenger over here. Correct? We have never put scavenger over here. Okay. So we'll come to that. But one thing that I wanted to ask. So guys, decomposers are those which feed on the dead. Scavengers are also those which feed on the dead. So what is the difference between a scavenger and a decomposer? Any idea? Can any of you take a wild guess? What could be the difference between a scavenger and a decomposer? Okay, I'll give you an example. Fine. Now, say for example, a lion has hunted a deer. A lion has hunted a deer. Now, the lion has fed on whatever it needs. Okay. Now, there is some biomass, some dead matter of that deer which is lying. Scavengers are animals which will feed on the dead, meaning they will wait for the other animal to kill another animal so that they can go and directly eat it. So now the scavenger will go and it will feed on whatever remaining deer is left. Now, once the scavenger is gone, right? Have you seen the dead matter will not continue to remain in the same place for say 10 days, right? After some time, it will completely disappear. Why? That is because of the work of decomposers. So while scavengers just feed on the dead and go off, decomposers break down the dead into simple nutrients. And these nutrients are technically mixed with the soil. So this is the major difference between scavenger and decomposer. Okay. So talking about scavengers, let me give you some interesting insight on a major scavenger called as vulture, because vulture is always in news as well. Okay. So yes, number one, vultures are scavengers. There are many different types of vultures in the world. Okay. Vultures are found all over the world except in 2 continents. Any guesses where which continent vulture is not found? Any guesses? Antarctica, yes, as well as Australia. So in Australia and Antarctica, vultures are not naturally found. Elsewhere around the world, they are found. Okay, so like I said, vultures are scavengers, right? So now I have a question for you. So you tell me, if at all if we as humans eat food which is as old as say 10 to 15 days, what might happen? We may all probably get food poisoning, correct? So how is it that vultures, even after eating food which is as old, rotting meat, dead, decaying, even after eating it, they are very much alive? Nothing is happening to them. Why? What do you think could be the reason?
Because of their digestive system was set up
Okay. Okay,
accordingly.
because of their digestive system. Okay. So let me tell you, have you all heard of something called as the pH scale? So in chemistry, I'm sure you all must have read about something called as the pH scale, right? So the pH scale ranges between 0 to 14, right? So anything less than 7 on the pH scale is called what? Is it acidic or basic? Anything less than 7, quickly tell me.
Acidic.
Okay,
Acidic,
good.
ma'am.
Acidic, wonderful. Anything more than 7 is basic, right? So anything less than 7 is acidic. Let me tell you, the pH, right, of the vulture stomach is between the range of 0 to 1. So you can imagine how acidic it is. Anything you put inside will completely crumble out. That is how the vulture stomach is designed. Okay. So now here, that is the range in which the pH is. So even if it eats very hard substances, hard to digest substances, it will be very difficult for the vulture to break it down. Are you all able to understand? Yes. So this is with regard to vultures. Fine. The pH scale. Okay. Next, I have one more question for you, because vultures are always in news. It makes sense for us to discuss some topics on vultures because we're talking about scavengers. So guys, I am typing something in the comment box. Okay. So I want you all to take a wild guess what it could be. What comes to your mind? Vulture restaurant. Any idea what this is? Vulture restaurant. It's a very interesting topic which is in news. Any guesses? Okay, so let me tell you this. So if you see in India, there has been a major reason for the decline of vultures. Yes, someone was saying something. Okay, so guys, yes, Danukesh, please tell me.
Conservation initiatives.
A conservation initiative. Okay, fine. So see, sometimes, when you see words like vulture restaurant, many of you may even have some wild guesses. A place where vulture meat is probably served. No such thing like that. I'll keep it very simple. So now if you see around the world, one of the major reasons for the decline in population of a particular species has been its habitat loss. But in the context of vulture, one of the major reasons for the decline in its population has actually been a drug. This drug is called as diclofenac. Okay, please note this down and mention UPSC previous year question in prelims. Diclofenac. Diclofenac. Okay, make a note of this and mention PYQ. Solve it if you get time. So now let us understand the context. So vultures basically feed on dead matter, right? Dead animals. So now over here, what is happening is that whenever cattle, when I say cattle, I'm talking about cows and buffaloes. When cattle falls ill, for cattle, a veterinary drug is being administered. Okay. This veterinary drug, which is being given to cattle, is usually called as diclofenac. Like this, there are many more drugs, aceclofenac, ketoprofen, many drugs are there. But please understand, when this drug is given to the cattle, even after the cow dies, the diclofenac continues to remain in the cow's body. So we all know what vultures do. Vultures basically prioritize dead animals. They want to go and feed on dead animals, right? So even if the vulture is dead, even if the cattle is dead, the vulture will go and feed on the cattle. So now diclofenac does not suit the vulture. So when the vulture basically eats a cattle whose body is administered with diclofenac, right? And because the diclofenac continues to remain in the body of the vulture, and now that the vulture is eating this particular animal, the diclofenac basically enters from the animal's body to the vulture's body. And now the vulture dies. Like this, in India, if you see, many cattle, many animals were basically given diclofenac as a drug whenever they fall ill. Okay. So now in this context, the vultures population started tremendously coming down. So keeping this in mind, the government came up with an idea called as vulture restaurant. Okay. The idea of this vulture restaurant is wherever a decent population of vultures are there, we will basically provide diclofenac free meat to the vulture. So if at all some meat is thrown, and this meat is basically diclofenac free. So with this, the vulture's population can be preserved and conserved in a better way. That was the intent of this particular initiative. Okay, vulture restaurant, read about it. So now that we have elaborately discussed about vultures in detail, we have spoken about scavengers. What we will do is we will try solving certain questions on the concepts that we have discussed. So moving forward, guys, take a look at this. The first question that we will be solving is, let me minimize this. Yes, are squirrels omnivores? So look at this, guys. So this was a question from 2023. Okay. So now consider the following statements regarding Indian squirrels. Before you read this question, right, look at the options over here. They build nest by making burrows in the ground. They store food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. Sorry. They are omnivorous. How many of the above statements are correct? Only one, only two, all three, none. Okay, so this is what is mentioned over here. Fine. So now in this context, yes, I just want you all to close your eyes and imagine a squirrel. Okay, close your eyes and imagine a squirrel. What is the first image which comes to your mind when you think of a squirrel? Please tell me.
Keeping the food on its mouth.
Yes, a squirrel usually running with a nut on the branch of a tree, right? Something like this image. So now you tell me, is squirrel a herbivore or an omnivore? So what do you guys think? Are squirrels herbivores or omnivores?
Herbivores.
Herbivore. Okay, okay.
Herbivores.
Yes, wonderful. So let me tell you, all of you have fallen trap to UPSC's trap set over there. Okay, so all of you have fallen prey to UPSC's trap. So can you say how UPSC is playing mind games with you? Let me tell you, Indian squirrels are omnivores. I'll tell you how. Now imagine the same squirrel running on the branch of a tree. Now, if this squirrel comes across, say, a worm, will it eat it or not? If it comes across a fly, if it comes across the ants, this squirrel will definitely eat it. So in this case, Indian squirrels are omnivores. Okay, so here one simple trap that UPSC set was, all of us, the minute we think of a squirrel, we think of a squirrel being a herbivore. Now with this, many of them went wrong. So can you see how UPSC plays mind games with you and how you should outsmart them? So this is one reflection for you. Okay, so when I said squirrel, all of you said herbivore for the simple reason you're all thinking along these lines. Okay, so here please understand, if you look at this question, they are omnivores is correct, right? Squirrels do not build nests by making burrows in the ground. Squirrels more or less on trees, so they don't make burrows in the ground. So this statement is wrong. But if we talk about the second and the third statement, they are correct. Look at the second statement. They store food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. That is correct. I'll tell you why. So animals by nature, if you see, animals, whenever they get an extra food resource, so for animals, food is only their priority. It is their possession. So if they get some extra food grains, their nature is wherever they find a secret place, they will go and hide it and keep. Right? So that is a tendency of animals. So in this case, whenever they come across some food materials, they tend to store it in the ground. It is like a safe refuge for them, especially on days where they don't get access to food. So here the correct answer is 2 and 3. Only 2 is correct. Okay. So sometimes questions like this will come in the exam. So you have to watch out. So are you all getting a clarity on how UPSC will outsmart you and where you should watch out? Moving on to the next question. Look at this. So ignore all of this with reference to food chains, ignore all of it. Which of the following kind of organisms are known as decomposers? So here you have virus, fungi, and bacteria. Select the correct answer using the given codes. So think about this, take a wild guess, tell me what the answer could be, then I will discuss elaborately on it. Yes, so I'm waiting for your responses, guys. Take a guess. Some of you have said option B. Okay. What about the others? B, B, B. How many of you say, okay, so let's vote. How many of you say A? Anybody with A? Okay, many of you are given B. How about C? How about D? How many of you think D could be the answer? Okay, so many of you have mentioned it correctly, but here let us understand the intent of this question. Yes, so Sharon has raised your hand. So Sharon, was it for the answer D or because you have a doubt?
No, ma'am. He asked for whole vote for option B, no, ma'am. So that.
Okay, for option B. Okay, fine. No issues. Sometimes, some latency errors, like, issues can be there. So yes, okay. So now here, guys, the correct answer is option B. But let me tell you why questions like this are important. See, sometimes in our life, we use certain words without even knowing the meaning of it. For example, many of us tend to use bacteria, virus, fungi, just like that, without even knowing the clear-cut meaning of it. Let me be even more simple. Some of you might have fever, but you will say you have cold. Some of you might have cold, but you will say you have fever. So even this difference, without knowing, we tend to use. Correct? So now here, the intent of UPSC was never to check whether you remember by heart which of the following are decomposers. That was never the intent. The intent was, are you smart enough? Let me give you the idea behind this question, the thought process behind this question. Look at virus, fungi, bacteria. They have asked which of the following are decomposers. Now, even if you don't know the term decomposers, right? And if you have a rough idea, okay, it is something to do with it's an organism which is going to break down something. Fine. Now, here the idea was very simple. Virus, right? Virus by itself is technically dead. Virus by itself is technically dead. Even during COVID-19, think about it. The reason why it was able to spread was when we got infected, right? The virus was using our body as a host to multiply. So virus aside by itself is dead. So if virus aside by itself is dead, how will virus perform such an important function called as decomposition? Right? So how can virus perform decomposition if virus by itself is dead? With this simple logic, if you eliminate option 1 called as virus, 1, 1, 1, you are only left with one option called as 2 and 3. So the idea was never to remember fungi and bacteria, but the idea was just to test, are you aware that virus by itself is dead? And if it is that case, how can it perform an activity called as decomposition? So guys, are you all able to appreciate or acknowledge the thought process behind this question? This is how I want you all to logically think. Are you all able to understand? If yes, please respond with a yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Yes. So guys, this is how I want you all to incorporate logical thinking as much as possible. Okay, with regard to your exams. Wonderful. So now let's move forward. So yes, with this, we are entering into a topic called as abiotic components. So abiotic components are nothing but non-living things, correct? Talking about non-living things, we have different abiotic components, which we will be discussing in detail. The most important abiotic component is temperature. Okay, temperature and salinity. So what is temperature? The degree of how hot or cold something is. Correct. So with regard to temperature, we need to understand two things, right? Depending upon places in which organisms can be found, we can classify organisms as either eurythermal or stenothermal. So guys, please understand, like I said, play damsharads. Note down this word called as eurythermal. If I break eurythermal into two halves, right? The word eury means wide. When I say wide, W-I-D-E, wide. Thermal refers to temperature. So eurythermal basically means organisms which can tolerate in a wide range of temperature. Okay, so if you take the animal dog, you find dogs in India. You may even find dogs in US, Alaska, which is very cold, right? So dog is a eurythermal creature. We as humans, we are also eurythermal. If you put us in Thar desert, we will survive. If you even put us in Leh and Ladakh, where it is very cold, we will still survive. So basically, we are eurythermal. Now, there is one more category. Organisms which can only survive in a narrow range of temperature, they are called as stenothermal. So break this again. Thermal is to do with temperature. Steno means narrow. Best examples for this are polar bear and penguin. Think about this. You find polar bear only in the Arctic Circle, right? So if I take out polar bear from the Arctic Circle and put it in a tropical rainforest like the Amazon, do you think they'll be able to survive? Yes. So majorly, cold-blooded animals come under the category of being stenothermal. Majorly, yes. We will talk about that also in detail. Do not worry. Similarly, penguin, crocodile, all these creatures are regarded as stenothermal because they cannot survive a wide range of temperature. So yes, I want you all to go back and read about this topic called as diurnal range of temperature. Read about this and let me know about this in the next class. Okay. So some questions I will give you in the class. I want you all to go through it. So with regard to temperature, please remember the term eurythermal and stenothermal more than enough. Now let's talk about salinity and water, right? So when I say salinity, it is nothing but the amount of salt dissolved in water, right? So depending upon salinity also, we can classify organisms into two types, uri-haline. So guys, what does the word uri mean? Quickly tell me. What does the word uri mean? Wide. What does the word steno
Wide.
mean? Steno.
Narrow.
That's
Narrow.
it. Haline is anything to do with density. Thermal is anything to do with temperature. Break the words, play damsharas, it will become easy for you. Okay. So organisms which can tolerate a wide range of salinity is called uri-haline. Best example for this is salmon fish. Similarly, organisms which can survive only in a narrow range of salinity, okay, they are called as stenohaline. Best example for this is goldfish. Think about it. I'm sure all of you have childhood memories of setting up an aquarium in your house, right? You might have bought a pot filled with water, a glass bowl filled with water. You might have gone to the aquarium, bought a golden fish, right? Goldfish, and you might have introduced it into the water. In a few days, it might have died, and you all must have cried over it, correct? That itself tells you that goldfish are stenohaline. Any mild change in temperature, salinity, pH, etc., will terribly affect it. So that is why even in the aquarium, when you go, the shopkeeper will give you some iodine drops. They'll ask you to put rock salt, right? So all this is to ensure that the stress caused upon this creature becomes less. Okay. So with regard to salinity, please keep in mind uri-haline and stenohaline. Until here, are we clear? Have you all been able to follow? Can I hear a yes? Yes?
Ma'am.
Wonderful. So guys, so far, just a quick recap. We have discussed what is ecology, what is environment. We have seen components, biotic, abiotic. Biotic, we decoded, autotrophs, heterotrophs. What are autotrophs? What are heterotrophs? The difference between decomposer and scavenger. Vulture as a scavenger has been covered. Now we solve two PYQs. Next, we have entered into abiotic components, where we have discussed elaborately about temperature, and we have also discussed about salinity. Until here, any doubts? Any doubts, guys?
No,
Are you
ma'am.
all clear? Great. So let us go forward. So moving forward, let's talk about this. Response of organisms to abiotic components. This is a very important topic. Okay. So how do animals respond to abiotic components? Okay. So in this context, there are different categories. We will be reading them one by one. But before we learn about the response of organisms to abiotic components, we need to understand a term called as homeostasis. Homeostasis. Okay. So what does the word homeostasis mean? That we will try having a good clarity upon. Okay. So let me give you an example. The definition of homeostasis basically says, yes, so Rashwant, wonderful, maintaining constant body temperature. Yes. So let me elaborate on that for you. Homeostasis is nothing but the ability of an organism to maintain a constant body temperature irrespective of changing external conditions. This is called as homeostasis. Ability of an organism to maintain a constant internal body temperature irrespective of changing external conditions. Okay, so this is regarded as homeostasis. The best example of creatures who can represent or organisms who can represent homeostasis is humans. Think about this. Our average internal body temperature is 37.5, right? 37.5 degrees Celsius. Now, even if we are put in a very hot place or even if you are put in a very cold space, our body tries to maintain 37.5 degrees constantly, no matter what. Okay, so regulators are creatures or organisms which can exhibit homeostasis. We will learn about regulators in detail, do not worry. But for now, just try to understand what does the word called homeostasis mean. In simple terms, ability of an organism to maintain a constant body temperature. That is called as homeostasis, right? So the best example for this is humans. Now let me give you an example. So imagine all of a sudden you are sitting in an AC room. Now during the daytime, it is very hot. Now you have immediately opened the AC room. You are walking outside and you have got onto the road. It is very hot, right? The temperature outside is high. So obviously what will happen is from 37.5 degrees, your body temperature will start to rise. Slowly it will start rising. Now to counter this, our body will start sweating. When we start sweating, the body cools down and the temperature comes back to 37.5, right? So this is what regulators do. On the other hand, if we talk about us being put in a very cold place, imagine all of a sudden you go to Jammu and Kashmir, it's extremely cold. From 37.5, our body temperature will start to drop slowly and slowly and slowly. So the minute the body temperature starts to drop, what will happen is that to counter this, our body will start shivering. When we shiver, what are we doing? We are producing heat. So yes, so humans, by sweating and shivering, we are able to maintain homeostasis. So are you all able to understand what homeostasis is?
Yes,
Guys, yes or no? Yes? Okay,
Yes,
fine.
ma'am.
So now let us talk about the response of organisms to abiotic components. Basically, 4 types of responses are there. Number 1, you have animals called as regulators. Number 2, you have conformers. Either the regulator or the conformer can belong to the third category, which is migration. And fourth, suspension. We will understand this in detail. Okay. So first, let's move on to regulators. So yes, regulators primarily comprise warm-blooded animals, right? Warm-blooded animals, for example, humans, right? So there is a category of animals called as mammals, okay? So please read about this term called as mammals. What are mammals? Mammals are basically animals which directly give birth to their young. They don't lay eggs. And they also have mammary glands through which they nourish their young, right? For example, cow. So cow gives birth to its young one. It does not lay an egg. It gives direct birth, and it also has certain mammary glands through which it feeds the young one with milk. So the mammary glands is a very important distinguishing feature for a mammal. Okay, mammary gland. Let me type it out here. So mammals directly give birth to their young one. Mammary glands is the way through which they basically nourish their young one. Okay, so mammals and mammary gland. I hope this is clear. Now let me ask you a question because this was in news. Any example of an egg-laying mammal? There is an exception. Do you know an example of an egg-laying mammal? Any idea? Any idea? Are you aware of an example of an egg-laying mammal?
I think it's platypus.
Yes, wonderful, Vasant. It is platypus. Okay. So I'll tell you why. So now, if we say, yes, very good, Rubini. So if we say mammals, right? So let me tell you, exceptions always exist in the animal kingdom. And UPSC has tested on this as well. I'll tell you why. Mammals are animals which directly give birth to their young, right? And the most important feature of mammal is that it should have mammary gland. Mammary gland is the most important feature. So an example of an egg-laying mammal is platypus. Although it lays eggs, it does have mammary glands through which it nourishes its young one, right? So this is one important characteristic of mammal. Please be clear on this. Fine. Next, let me ask you this. So guys, you tell me, snakes. So snakes lay eggs or do they give birth to their young one? What do you guys think?
Lay.
Yes, everybody knows snakes lay eggs. But let me tell you, there is an exception to this. There are some snakes which actually give birth to their young one also. In fact, UPSC tested this one time. There is a variety called as boa. Boa is known to directly give birth to its young one. It does not lay eggs. So every time, exceptions always exist in the animal kingdom. Okay. So talking about regulators, regulators are also called as warm-blooded animals. The most important feature of this regulator is that they are able to perform homeostasis. For example, if the weather becomes too hot, they will sweat to cool their body. If the weather becomes too cold, they will shiver to produce heat. So regulators are warm-blooded animals and they maintain homeostasis. So are we all clear with what regulators are? All of you are clear?
Yes, ma'am. I have a
Yes,
doubt,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. Yes, I think someone asked me a doubt. Did anybody ask me a doubt?
Ma'am, I am asking a
Yes, yes. Please tell me.
Ma'am, no, boa is whether a mammal or a
No, no.
mammal.
So, yes, so it's not a mammal. So, guys, let me elaborate a little bit on this. So, there are two terms you need to understand. Oviparous, okay, and there is a term called as viviparous. When I say oviparous, it refers to egg-laying animals. So snakes are called oviparous. When I say viviparous, it refers to animals which directly give birth to their young. So please think about it. When I talk about viviparous, right, I can have two types under viviparous. One is mammals. They give birth to their young and they have mammary glands with which they nourish their young. One more is non-mammals. They give birth to their young, but they don't give milk to their young one. So here, boa comes under the scope of being a viviparous non-mammal, right? It is not a mammal. It is a viviparous, meaning it gives birth to its young one directly, but it does not have mammary glands. Are you all able to understand? Is
Yes,
it clear? All of you? So guys, all these terms, please make a note that I have given. Mammals, mammary gland, oviparous, viviparous, please make a note, right? You may not come across this in your books. So terms like viviparous have been tested in the exam. So please watch out for it, right? So here regulators are warm-blooded, okay? They can perform homeostasis. Now moving forward, let's talk about another category called as conformers. Conformers are cold-blooded animals, okay? These conformers refer to those creatures which are incapable of performing homeostasis, right? Because let me tell you, to sweat and shiver, the body needs energy, correct? To sweat and shiver, the body needs energy. Not all animals can afford to do this. So conformers basically cannot afford to waste so much energy, right? They need to preserve on to their energy. So they are also called as cold-blooded animals. So in this context, one thing that we need to remember with regard to conformers is that they do not perform homeostasis, but they only change their response to the given situation. So think about this. If at all you take a creature such as say a crocodile, right? A crocodile. The crocodile, what it will do is whenever it is very hot, it will jump into the water. Now, if the water feels very cold for it, it will come back to the land. So here, this animal cannot sweat or shiver, but it can only change its response. Now, if it is an animal which cannot directly jump into a water body, what will happen is this animal will dig a hole and burrow into the ground. Okay, so sometimes what happens, certain conformers, what they do is they will directly decide to just make a hole and go deep into the ground whenever it is very hot for them. And once the conditions are normal, they will come back to the land. So, are you all able to understand the difference between regulators and conformers? Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So there is a question displayed over here. Take it as a homework. Why are small birds like hummingbirds not naturally found in polar regions? This is mentioned in your prelims. Okay, so this is mentioned in your NCERT books. So just go through this. Okay. Are we all clear so far? Yes. So going forward, let's talk about this. The third category is migration. So please understand the animals who migrate can either be regulators or conformers. Any of it is possible. We're just talking about general responses of organisms to abiotic factors. So now migration basically means the animal will move away from from a temporary stressful habitat to a more an easy area where it can survive. So look at this bird. This bird is called as Siberian crane. As the name suggests, which country do you think this bird is migrating from?
Russia.
Siberia. Okay, Siberian crane is migrating from Siberia. A normal day in Siberia is very cold. So think about winters. Completely terrible. So what will happen is the Siberian crane will migrate from Siberia, and during the harsh winters, it will start flying from Siberia, and it will split into two branches. One branch will go far east and will enter into China. One more branch will basically enter countries like Kazakhstan, Iran, and finally India. So during the winters, the birds come here. So tell me this, why do you think animals migrate?
For food.
Sorry for
Food.
your voice is breaking. Could you please repeat? Why do you think animals migrate? For food. Okay, so see, sometimes for food, sometimes to escape harsh weather, right? And sometimes even for mating. For all these reasons, animals can migrate. Okay, so all of this is possible. Now I have given you one more example of a turtle over here. This turtle variety is called as the leatherback turtle. So what happens with this leatherback turtle is that this leatherback turtle basically lives in Pacific and Atlantic. Okay, so guys, let me just show you an image of the leatherback turtle for your reference. Okay, so this image that you can see over here, right? So this turtle is called as a leatherback turtle. Okay, so questions on different types of sea turtles come in the exams. Please watch out for this. This leatherback turtle is regarded as the largest sea turtle in the world. In the entire world, it is the largest of all the sea turtles. Okay, it is one of the most migratory sea turtles. It migrates across the Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. Why is it called leatherback? Because look at its shell. It has a leather-like shell. Okay, unlike many turtles which have a proper shell, it has a leather-like shell. That is the reason why it is called as a leatherback turtle. Now, this turtle is also an example of a migratory turtle. The reason why I quoted leatherback turtle is there was an article in the news, and the article said that now these turtles basically they come to the land to lay their eggs. Okay, so what they are saying is a very interesting feature is that when the egg hatches, right? Whether the hatchling is a male or a female is determined by the temperature of the sand. Please understand this. With regard to sea turtles, whether the baby is a male or a female depends upon the temperature of the sand. So what many people have cited is that due to climate change, if at all the temperatures are going to keep increasing, right, the sand is going to become more and more warm and hot, right? So as a result of which you will have more females and less males, it seems. So let me repeat, for sea turtles, the sex of the turtle is determined by the temperature of the sand, okay, for the hatchling. So warmer the temperature, more females and less males. So this will cause a great imbalance in the sex ratio. Okay, so in this context, leatherback turtle is important. It is the largest sea turtle and it is also a migratory sea turtle. So I hope until this we are clear. Yes? Okay. So now moving forward, we have discussed few examples. So now here, let us also talk about this. So there are other sea turtles, like, you have the green sea turtle. So guys, how many of you have seen this film called Finding Nemo? If you haven't also, it's completely fine. But just tell me this, how many of you have seen this movie called Finding Nemo? Or have you heard about this film called Finding Nemo? So Vasant Kumar, you've raised your hand. Yes. So have you watched this film? Yes. Okay, good. Fine. So many of you have said yes. Even for those of you who haven't, let me give you a reason why this is important. Many environmental and ecology concepts can be learned through this film. Okay. The story is very simple. Do you see this orange color fish over here? It is called as a clownfish. Okay. So the story goes like this. There is a father clownfish. Okay. A group of sea divers come into the ocean and take away his son. His son is called Nemo, and they go off very far. So the movie is called Finding Nemo because it is a story of how this father travels across the entire ocean to meet his son. Fine. So that is the reason why it is called Finding Nemo. Nemo is the name of his son. So here in this particular movie, there'll be a scene. A group of sea turtles will be migrating and going from one end of the ocean to the other. So here Nemo's father and a friend basically ask this turtles help to navigate them and to be a part of them in their migration journey. Fine. So similarly like this, there is one more sea turtle that I have mentioned over here. It is called as green sea turtle. Green sea turtle also migrates. The reason why it is called green is not because of its color, but because of its body fat. Its body fat is green in color because it eats only sea grass. So let me tell you, almost all the sea turtles that you see are either omnivore or carnivore. But the green sea turtle is a herbivorous sea turtle. Please mention this. Green sea turtle is a herbivorous sea turtle. And please mark UPSC PYQ. Green sea turtle is a herbivorous sea turtle. And please mark UPSC PYQ. Done? Okay. So yes, moving forward, the next topic, suspension, right? So guys, tell me this. What is the difference between a person who is dead and a person who is in coma? I know it's completely off topic, but I want to know. What is the difference between a person who's dead and a person who's in coma?
How they respond to the one's reactions.
So the person in coma is technically alive, right? Just that the response is poor. So suspension basically means to suspend your body activity. So what happens is many animals, what they do is during harsh conditions, to escape from this condition, they suspend their body activities. This is called as suspension. The term suspension is known for different animals and different names. For example, look at this. For bacteria form what is called as spores. Okay. The suspension is called as spore formation. So whenever the condition is very harsh, bacteria, to protect itself, it will form a thick spore around it. Once conditions become normal, bacteria will again, regain its strength and continue to perform its functions. Similarly, if we talk about polar bears, the suspension is called as hibernation, right? Hibernation. Hibernation is a long winter sleep. So winter sleep is called hibernation. So is there something called as summer sleep? Yes. Summer sleep is called estivation. So estivation is a summer sleep that many fish undergo, right, to overcome harsh conditions during summer. Now, there are some creatures in water called as zooplankton. Make a note of it when we talk about ecosystems. I will discuss this in detail with you. So, zooplanktons and their suspension is called as diapause. Diapause. Okay. So, guys, I have a quick question for you. So, suspension, the four types: spore formation, hibernation, estivation, diapause. So I want you to tell me, are polar bears warm-blooded or cold-blooded? Could you please tell me this?
Cold-blooded, ma'am.
Okay, so let me tell you this. Let's talk about this. So first, quickly tell me this. Are polar bears eurythermal or stenothermal? Quickly recap. Eurythermal or stenothermal? Stenothermal, correct? Yes. So let me tell you, just because polar bear is found in the cold place doesn't mean it is cold-blooded. It is very much warm-blooded. Bears are mammals. They are very much warm-blooded, right? Of course, to escape the harsh winter conditions, it undergoes hibernation. Just because it undergoes hibernation doesn't mean it is a cold-blooded creature. Please remember the temperature range where it can live is stenothermal, but it is a warm-blooded animal. Please be very clear on this. Some terminologies and words can be misleading. Do not get confused by it. Are we all clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So there is a question here, right? So this is what we have discussed. So suspension is done. So far, guys, we have tried solving response of organisms to abiotic stresses. So here we have quickly finished off the areas, right? Like uh, we have spoken about regulators, conformers, migration, as well as suspension, right? So let's practice some questions. Quickly look at this. Which of the following is not an abiotic component? What is the answer, guys? Quick.
Rainfall.
Which of the following is not an abiotic component? What is the answer? Not an abiotic component.
Bacteria and fungi.
Bacteria and fungi, obviously, right? So there's no need to think over here. Next. Which of the following components influences the survival of living organisms up to a certain range? Temperature, correct. So temperature, when I talk about range, temperature plays a vital role. Are we clear? Yes. So guys, with this, basics of ecology, components of the ecosystem, biotic, abiotic, response of organisms to abiotic stresses, regulators, conformers, migration, suspension is officially done. Now we will be talking about levels of ecology, right? Levels of ecology. So this is like a building block. Okay. So just note down a heading called as levels of ecology. I'm just mentioning it over here. Just make a note of this. Levels of ecology. Okay. So number 1, you will note organism. Number 2, you will note population. Number 3, we will have community. Number 4, we will have ecosystem. Number 5, I will have biome. And number 6, I will have biosphere. Right? So this is like a staircase. It starts with organism, goes on to population, then you have community, then you have ecosystem, biome, and biosphere. Okay, so just quickly make a note of this. Okay, so guys, have you all made a note? Have you all made a note? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Okay, fine. So just moving forward, let's start with this. So let's start with the first one, organism. So when we talk about organism, the first building block, right? Organism refers to an independent living unit. Fine. For example, you represent an organism. I represent an organism, right? So that is nothing but organism. So now here, there are some terminologies which I've given here. You can go through it. But majorly for UPSC, knowing what these terms mean is more than enough. So the word organism refers to an independent living unit. For example, one dog, one cat, one human. When I say population, it is group of organisms belonging to the same species. Please understand, the word same species is very important here and not different species. Think about it. We always say population of humans. Humans come under the category of Homo sapiens. Yes or no? So here, when we use the word population, we always say population of some. Population is nothing but organisms belonging to same species. So I hope until this it is clear. Now there are some terms over here like population density and population range. Just go through this. Population density means number of individuals found in a given area. For example, I have a piece of land. I divide this land into different units. Now within every unit, how many organisms are there? That is called as population density. Population range, how the population is distributed. For example, what is the population in India? What is the population somewhere else, etc. So when I talk about ecology, we will say What is the population found in the tropical rainforest? What is the population in a mangrove? What is the population in a desert? That is what this means. So until here, are we clear?
Can you re-explain population density, ma'am?
Yes. So population density is nothing but number of individuals found in a given area. For example, let me tell you. Okay, the total population of Chennai, okay, say for example, is 1 lakh. Specifically in Tambaram, what is the population of people? That is population density. Number of individuals found in a given specific area. Are you able to understand? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now with this, organism and population is done. Go through these questions and try solving them. Moving forward, let's talk about community. Please understand, until organism and population, it was nothing but same species. But when we enter into community, it is nothing but two or more populations of different species. For example, in a given forest, you find trees, you find deer, you find tiger. This represents a community, right? So forest deer, plant deer tiger found in the same place is called a community. So through community, what can we understand? We can understand how a food chain operates. We can understand predator-prey relationships. So lion and deer, who is the predator, who is the prey? Quickly tell me, lion and deer. Lion and deer, which is the predator, which is the prey?
Lion is the predator.
Yes, deer is the prey. Okay. So having a community will help us to understand how a food chain operates, who is eating who, how a predator-prey relationship operates. These two terms are more or less the same, but we will be able to understand all of this in detail. This is nothing but community. Okay. So go through the questions given here. Next, we are entering into ecosystem. So now ecosystem is equal to community plus abiotic factors. Please make a note of it. Ecosystem is nothing but community plus abiotic factors. Quickly make a note of it. Ecosystem is nothing but community plus abiotic factors. Okay. So here in ecosystems, we are talking about different community, that is different species living in a place, and also along with all the abiotic factors associated with it. When I say abiotic factors, we're talking about sunlight, temperature, salinity, rainfall, soil, etc. So now ecosystems can be divided into two major types, natural and man-made. When I talk about natural, I'm talking about forest, grassland, desert. When I talk about man-made, I'm talking about aquarium, agricultural field, zoo. So until here, are we clear? Levels of ecological organization, organism, population, community, ecosystem. Are we clear with these terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Any doubts? Fine. So guys, over here, some very interesting questions are given, right? I will solve few and I'll give you some as homework. So hyperthermophile. So let us try dividing this. What does the word thermo have to do with?
Warm.
What is the word thermo? Thermos to do with what?
Temperature.
Very good. What is hyper?
Extreme.
Excess. Phile refers to an organism. So hyperthermophiles are nothing but organisms which survive in very high temperatures. Okay. So if you see, there are certain types of bacteria called as archaebacteria, which can even survive in water, which is as hot as 70 degrees Celsius. Okay. So these are called as hyperthermophiles. The opposite of hyperthermophile is called as a cryophile. Organisms which can survive in very low temperatures. Okay, so have an idea of this. Next, how do snails respond to heat stress? The answer is aestivation. Remember, we saw aestivation. So aestivation is performed by fish and snails. Go through these questions, major and minor community, dieback, what does it mean in ecology? None of this is there in your books. Go through it. Saprotrophs, this is important. So guys, let me tell you, in English, there is a word called synonym. What does it mean? Any idea? What does this word mean?
Different words is the same meaning.
Different words, but the meaning is the same. Okay, different words, but the meaning is the same. Saprotroph is another name for decomposer. Okay, saprotroph is another name for decomposer. So guys, remember we solved a previous year question, and the question was which of the following animals are saprotrophs, and their bacteria, all that was there, and you all said virus will not come. Now, if the same question said which of the following is, I mean, instead of decomposer, if they had used the word saprotroph, the answer still remains the same. So here, what is saprotroph, what is decomposer, what is detrivore? You should have certain amount of clarity. Is this clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Any doubts so far? Guys, any doubts?
No.
Okay,
No.
fine. Okay, so guys, with this, there are some topics from core ecosystem like habitat, niche, etc. We will start from this tomorrow and we will complete the other areas which are important from us. So basically today we have covered the basics of ecology. We have seen components of the ecosystem, biotic and abiotic. We have tried seeing the different types which come under it. And next we have discussed about homeostasis, response of organisms to abiotic stresses. We have decoded the different abiotic components, and then we have also solved, we have seen the levels of ecological organization starting from organism, population, community, up till ecosystem. So what I want you all to do is whatever we have read today, just go and revise. And also tomorrow, before we start, I want you to go through what we read yesterday and then we will continue. So until here, are we all clear? Ma'am, can you share the PPT module? Yes, so the admin will be sharing it with you. I will share it across to them and they will be sharing it with you. Is this clear? Yes, so you will all get the PPT. Please don't worry. Okay. Right. Done. So, okay. So I hope until here we are all clear. Any doubts, guys? Any doubts in whatever we have seen or read? So because now it's just a few minutes left, so any doubts you all can, like, share your doubts over here, or you can ask me. Do you all have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, I have received books. How it can be read according to the class. See, what I'll say is right now focus on the PPTs. You can go through the books as well. They are very structured. So when you take a look at the books, look at the syllabus, link it with what we are reading and just highlight points. So the books are the primary reference. The PPT will also add value. So for a rough and easy understanding, go through the PPT. Once the PPTs are done, go through the books in detail. Okay, so finding direct linkage with the book will not be there because the slides are designed in a particular way, right? And the PPT is, and the notes and the books are designed in a particular way. So it's very difficult to get a direct overlap. But what I would say is try to correlate what we are reading. So the first reading, let it be your PPT. The second and the subsequent revisions that you have, you can directly go with the slides. Okay, the books. Right? So I hope it's clear. Yes. So all of you, I think we are all good, right? Okay. So guys, with this, I'm guessing we will have another session tomorrow. We'll be doing environment only. Mostly that's how it will be. So if that's the case, then yes, we will continue from wherever we stopped, right? So I hope it is all clear. Okay. So thank you and all the very best. Remember whatever I said and let's again meet up tomorrow. Fine. So all of you can leave, right? So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.